At the call of a rooster, your eyes flash open. You get up from your bed on the dirt floor and begin to get ready for the day ahead of you. After helping your mother sell alcohol and falafel under the beating African sun, you begin the 4-hour walk that you make to and from school every day. And after 3 hours in a crowded, noisy schoolroom, you walk back home, thinking about how lucky you are to be receiving an education. In countries like this, in South Sudan, less than 10% of children finish primary school, and only 35% of that 10% are female. This is the life of a girl named Pony, as told by the Middle Eastern news source Al Jazeera. So stories like Pony's seem foreign to us, not only because of their geographical location, but also because of their rarity in the United States. According to the Statista Research Department, actually 1.2% more women than men held bachelor's degrees in 2019 in America. Even just looking at the demographics of a school like Belmont, it's hard and absurd to think that women might not have the same rights as men to education. However, this is not the case in many countries all around the world. In African countries in particular, women are denied equal access to education because of harmful perceptions of gender inequality, leading to violence and a myriad of obstacles for women pursuing positions of leadership. And so inequality for women in Africa is inequality for women everywhere. And yet this inequality does not only impact women. When women are not in positions of leadership, the world only has access to half of the talent, potential, and resources that it could have. And for women to become successful leaders, they must develop the necessary skills to do so, which is done through education. As I personally have gone to Africa, I've seen and experienced the importance of an education and how it really is the most valuable commodity. So today, I would like to talk to you about what the African education system looks like, what causes the inequalities within it, and what effects it has on women pursuing positions of leadership in Africa. So first, I'd like to talk about the African education system and the disparities and unequal opportunities that exist within it. So like I mentioned, when I went to Africa, I went to Mathare Valley Slum in Nairobi, Kenya in 2018, as pictured here. While I was there, I heard many testimonies about the importance of an education and how it really is the most valuable commodity. And as you can see, this is the out-of-school rate for children of primary school age that are female. So just as I heard that it was so difficult for anyone to get an education in Africa, it's especially difficult for females. And in Africa, the rate is over 30% or more. And this graph comes from UNSCO, who also reported that there's 130 million girls between the age of 6 and 17 that are out of school. And the girls that are in school are often treated unequally. Desks are reserved for boys while girls have to sit on the ground. And girls often have to miss weeks of school at a time because there's no resources for them if they're on their menstrual cycle. Undoubtedly, access to education in Africa is not equally distributed, and this impacts the country tremendously. However, before we take a look at the effects, let's first look at the causes, especially the perceived inequality and danger that prevents girls from going to school. So this little graph comes from the Pew Research Center, and the green bar represents the percent who say that it is very important for women to have the same rights as men in their country. Essentially, if gender equality is very important. So I did a little bit of math for you, as you can see on the right, and I found that 57% of people in Nigeria do not think gender equality is very important, whereas this number is only 9% in the United States. Although in an ideal world, it would be 0, it is very important to note the difference in values between African countries and Western nations, and just how that really keeps girls out of school, because they're not viewed as equal. Also, gender-based violence is a huge contributor. Because schools are very remote, like you saw in Pony's story at the beginning, it's often very dangerous for them to go to school. Also, threats of sexual abuse and rape, even from teachers, can keep girls out of school. So now that we've examined the causes of these inequalities, let's now look at their effects on the quality of life and leadership opportunities that are available for women in Africa. So when women do not receive an education, they are viewed as less valuable. And when they're viewed as less valuable, they are so much more vulnerable to being dependent on men that simply don't know how to treat women, and just to threats of abuse, rape, and insults in general. Additionally, countries with lower female education rates have been linked to lower incomes and life expectancies as well. So these are a few pictures of my time in Africa and some girls that I met that were pursuing an education in some of the classrooms there. And like I mentioned at the beginning, I found that education really is the most valuable commodity and the biggest door opener for people in Africa. So when women are denied the access to education, they are denied access to what is able to help them most escape poverty. And how can a woman be focused on being a leader when all she's focused on is survival? So even if you wondered at the beginning of my speech why education all the way in Africa matters to you, I hope that you now have a better understanding of what inequalities exist within it and the causes and effects that this inequality has on women pursuing positions of leadership in Africa. The life of Pony that I told at the beginning is not an isolated incident. It's not just the story of some girl all the way across the globe. It is the story of all women pursuing an education, and ultimately, it is the story of all of us. So as the African proverb says, if you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a nation.